Hello and welcome to Series 5, Episode 3 of the Tuesday Talk Show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman from Essential Print Services. I hope you're all well, whether you're watching this live or on catch-up or hashtag replay, however you want to watch and listen, we would love to hear from you. So please let us know you're there by giving us your comments and questions, and we'll definitely give you a shout out and get back to you. But today we have a fantastic guest. It is the one, the only. It's Tim Elliott. Hello, Tim.
Hey, Yvonne. Hello, everybody.
It's great to see you. So, Tim, for those people watching and listening who don't know you, who are you? Who do you think you are giving your advice? Why should we listen to you? And what do you do?
That's a very good question.
Yes.
So I'm trying to sum it up in that I work with strategic creativity, and I have done for 25 odd years. I know it's hard to tell, right? But it's been going a while. But my day job really is working with a human-centered design agency where we help organizations of all sides really solve interesting problems with new ways of thinking. I'm also an entrepreneur in residence at Nottingham Uni, and I've got a podcast and a bit of speaking on the side.
Entrepreneur in residence. Oh, that sounds like some Las Vegas show. I like that.
It does. It's not a Las Vegas show.
So why should we listen to your advice, Tim? What makes you so clever about business and stuff?
God, that's a good question. So I've just done a lot. Of experience. So fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work brand side, client side, agency side as a freelancer in the university and on the academic side. So I've had the opportunity to work with strategic creativity in all of the genres that you can have in the business world, right? I've covered all of those bases in those 25 years, which means I've got a good perspective, I think, on how everything works together in the big kind of business ecosystem.
You've seen it from all angles, basically, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've not been a one-trick pony, so to speak.
Which one's your favourite angle? Which one's your favourite side? Do you have a favourite side?
I think it depends on the project, really. Running an agency is really exciting because you get the variety of clients to work on, and you're always kind of aiming for improvement, and there's loads of challenges all the time, which is super interesting. But then working brand side, working for client side, you get to build stuff over a long term.
Yeah.
Like you get to work on long-term projects, whereas agency, you may be wheeled in for a specialist a little bit, or to help them take the next step, but very rarely for the whole big picture, the whole 5, 10, 15 year plan. And I like that building a brand through that is really interesting too.
That is really exciting stuff. Yeah, I enjoy that sort of side of things as well. How did you get to where you are today? What did that journey look like?
It's more luck than judgment.
What did it feel like, Tim? What did it smell like to you, that whole journey?
It's definitely more luck than judgment. I'm going to try and hide behind any kind of thing. But I started off working in agency world, so in web design agencies, basically. So I can kind of design websites, I can kind of do SEO, but you hire somebody else to do that stuff, please. Thank you. But I started off in agency world and got to a point where a lot of people were like, opportunities arose to start my own thing. Like people going, oh, can you do it? You know, if you were to do this on your own, I'd help you out and I'd come work for you, blah, 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 blah. And it was just enough of that happened at the right time, and there was enough kind of a few months money in the bank, and the world was in a good place, and I took the plunge. And I've not, in 2010, October 2010 it was, I first started self-employment, and then went through, I don't know if people are at the beginning of their journey, but you go through everything, right? When you're a freelancer, I started out being able to do business development, cold calling, websites, SEO, social media, content writing. Like I thought I could do everything, and then quickly whittled it down out of stuff that I was actually rubbish at and or didn't like doing, right? So I ended up really focusing it on kind of the creative production. So a lot of social media work in the early days, but campaigns and things, and then progressed into just strategy, which is more thinking than actual work, which I do kind of now.
Is that why your hair has fallen off? Because you've thought so much during your career. It's just sort of gone poof. I can't think anymore.
That's it. A lot of head scratching, and it's gone out of the way. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can see that there's some people in the audience, but they're not saying hello, but I'd love to hear from you. So please do send in your comments and questions. The past year, Tim, what's it been like for you, and what did you learn about yourself?
Do you know what? It's been all right. I've been one of the fortunate ones. Like my work, the things people hire me for in whatever hat I'm wearing, transferred super easy to online. And working from home. I very rarely now do stuff where I need to be out, and it's still, you know, as we've opened up a bit, it still continues now. So I was super fortunate, and in fact, I'm going to be the positive guy, which I know is tricky in when we're talking to COVID, right? But I think it opened up no end of opportunities. Like the agency I'm part of now is actually based in Virginia in the States, and we're a global team where there's people in Italy, Colombia, across America, here in the UK, and we all work together because we can do it remotely. We can do it through Zoom or Teams. And we help organizations across the world, right? We've got stuff in Kenya, over in the States. We've had big projects with the University of Virginia and other companies like not-for-profit. But I like even companies in London, like in this country, that are inherently wouldn't choose somebody stuck in the middle of the country in Derby because it's a bit further, have gone, well, you know, it doesn't really matter now. And I was like, well, it's like an hour away anyway. Did it matter in the beginning? But you know, all these constraints or perceived constraints of geography and time and location have been taken away, right? And I think that was an opportunity I've kind of been lucky enough to embrace, really.
Yeah, it's the you've hit the nail on the head there. It's the perceived hurdles that people put in the way for saying, "Oh, we can't hire that agency out of the region because of this." Well, there's no excuses now. Almost when people want to meet me in real life, I always ask them why. Why do we need to meet in real life?
Exactly the same. I would go for a coffee and a meeting to London, right? Which is, you know, 100 odd quid on the train, 3 hours of travel, not including the tube, and I'd happily do that. And now I questioned going into Leicester, which is in theory 30 minutes if the M1 behaves itself, and I'm like, what for, a coffee? Not sure. Why? I have coffee already, if that's the thing. But like, it's like to answer the second half of your question, like what did I learn about myself, is that it's less is more, I think. And it's not just me, I think in general, right? But I was one of those guys pre-COVID, right, that got up at 6, jumped in the car, went to the gym, jumped on the motorway for an hour and a half, wanged around doing stuff, and then went to events and the pub and meals and stuff in the evening, and then get home at like 8, 9 o'clock, and then sleep and get changed again, and then go like, and that's like, it was just stuff. Like there was no impactful work, really. It was just doing the other things around work that made it busy. And that's what I learned about myself, that none of that really matters, if I'm honest.
It doesn't matter. What is the hardest thing, Tim, about working for yourself, especially from a freelancer point of view? What is the hardest thing, do you think, that you come across?
It's about focus and understanding and getting the chance to step back, right, and see the big picture. Because when you're freelancing, right, so I'm lucky enough to do stuff on my own and have an agency role as well, right? But when you look at a freelance role, it's a bit roller coastery, right? It's up and down every day of the week, even hours in the day. Sometimes it's a bit whoa, like, and it's an emotional ride. But if you take a step back to have a look, right, actually, you're not doing too bad. it's kind of a smoother line, but it's really hard if you're a small or a micro, a solo business, a solo person business, right, to see that, because you're stuck in the work. As well as running the business, you're also in the work and responsible to other people, maybe your family, maybe your friends, maybe a landlord. Like, there's so much stuff, and it's really hard to take a step back and reassess.
I think that's why it's so important to have, a business community around you, that peer support network, whether it be through a group that we're a part of, Mainframe or Creative Mornings, or where we are in the country, Derby for Derby Hub, that sort of a group of people that you can access to, a drop of a hat to go, can you just look at this for me from a fresh pair of eyes? Or I'm going through this. Have you been through it too? And more often than not, they have. And I think through the pandemic, lots of people feeling like the problems that they had were theirs only. And once you started talking about it, like the Tuesday Talk Show, you find out that you are definitely not alone with the problems that you're going through. How have you experienced that with the support, and being able to get on with your career with the support around you?
Oh my God, like for a long time now. So a lot of those, probably 23 of those 25 odd years, right, have been like, I couldn't have done anything without my like little inner circle of friends. So I've got some, like, not school friends. They've all come through work and vocational things, but definitely friends like Victoria Taylor, Bertie Cordingley, Paul Chapman, Paul Ince, Amir from Apricot Box. Like, there was,
gosh, that is
so many
friends right there, Tim.
They're all smarter than me, right? Which is good, and they all really kind and will listen and respond at any time. But like, all those people are just always there. They're on the end of a WhatsApp, right? And it's super simple to reach out, and they're just good people. And I've had, connection, like the professional mentors and coaches as well, which are also good. But that, having those people, whoever they are, right, doesn't have to be mentors, or it can be a networking group or a community or a club, right? Like somebody who's there, who's not super close, like your family and stuff, because that's too close sometimes for good advice. But somebody you can go to and just talk about work stuff without any of the baggage that comes with family and emotion and money and that sort of thing.
Cannot agree with you more on that, Tim. We've got a Facebook message come through. Don't know who you are, so whoever you are, please let us know who you are. Went to a networking event last week, and it was fantastic to get to see people face to face again. I went to my first one, which was the Me&D charity networking event at the farmhouse in Mackworth in Derby. And it was my first time in 18 months where I had to stand up and do a pitch for a minute. I thought, well, I've been doing this for like 15, 20 years. What do I say? I was so nervous. But once I did it, I thought, it's all coming back to me now. But I did feel very anxious going into that environment again and seeing new people and having to introduce myself. It's like, what do I do? What do I say? So yes, if you're going through that and you're watching this, you are not alone. And if you are watching this live on Catch Up, please let us know that you're there. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions and comments, send them in, fire them away. Tim, a bit of a personal question now, and one that I always like to include in the Tuesday Talk Show. It's the time when you've been at the end of your tether with business or a project. It's not so much the thing, but how did you get over it? Because throughout the pandemic, there's been plenty of people that I've spoken to who have like, do you know what? I've had enough. I'm jacking this all in. I'm going to go and find a job somewhere. But they haven't, given up. They've pursued with it. So tell us about that time for you.
Yeah. I thought about this after reading the question, actually, and it was difficult because I think I'm just one of those guys who've got kind of a long unelasticated tether, right? So I never seem or can't really struggle to get to the end of the tether. I have up and downs, like sometimes every day. Like if I'm like I'm not smoothly sailing through life by any stretch, right? But I think the getting through the harder bits getting through the downs, which will inevitably come before the ups, right? It's all about the preparation. It's the stuff you do before. So it's the stuff you do outside of that situation, right? And there's a amazing book that I've just been reading by a guy called Rich Roll. And it's called Finding Ultra, right? It's about ultra running, but if you're not into running, it's also about other stuff, right? But one of the lessons from that book is stop planning for stuff and start just being prepared, like preparation for life. So like your morning routine, your health, your wellness, your setup, your knowledge, your continual learning, you're making sure everything's all right. So you're being proactive about stuff, not reactive. You're always consistently business developing, consistently marketing, whatever issue you're having, do it consistently every day, even though you don't need it. And you don't have to be in that reactive situation when something bad happens, because you know you've prepared for that, because it's coming, right? The bad stuff is coming, right? You just have to be prepared. And I have that mindset, if I'm honest, which kind of helps me through it, and a bit of a chilled persona, which makes me go, all right, there'll be an up and carry on with my life. Yeah.
I definitely relate to that with what he said about preparation. It's doing the little bits of marketing, even when you don't feel like you have the time, but to make the time. So when things do get a little bit quiet, that profile is already raised. So when people do want to buy from you, your name is already out there, and it's so key. It's so key. Before we go on to the next question, we're going to go to a new feature on the Tuesday Talk Show, which is Ask Me Anything. So the tables are now turned. I have no idea what Tim is about to ask me. I make sure my guests are prepared. They have a list of questions to think about before the show, but I have no idea. So over to you, Tim Elliott. What would you like to ask me?
So this is one of my favorite questions to ask, actually. So in regards to your business, what have you changed your mind about lately, and why?
Oh, what have I changed my mind about lately, and why?
Yeah. So if people like, if you had a process or a thing that you always believe to be true about business, or your business specifically, has any of that interesting stuff changed? I love that
Definitely.
little nuggets.
It's about working from home. Before COVID, I was a firm believer that I had to be in the office to do a good job. I had to be present in front of my employees to show them that I was working as hard, if not harder than them. And I didn't need to. COVID forced us into the working from home situation. I've always had an office right from day one on Pride Park, because I didn't think working from home was serious business. I'll admit that. And I was wrong. Definitely, I was wrong. And that's proven to me. And I just think of all that time, Tim, that I spent in that office, almost like a prisoner. I'd say as a prisoner, that I could have been doing other things, could have been working elsewhere, looking at things from a different perspective. So yeah, that has been a massive change for me. And I still have an office on Pride Park. I still love it to bits, but I'm not there half as much time as I used to be, because I like having that different environment. It gives me, from a creative point of view, being a designer, I love going to a different environment, a physical place, and it gives me new ideas as well. So why did I spend so much time there? Bonkers now, looking back, absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that will echo with a lot of people having that, because a lot of people have had to unlearn what work meant and then relearned it in a new way. And yeah, I think that it's really relevant for a lot of people. Good answer, Yvonne.
Yeah, excellent. Nervous about that one. Right, back over to you. But they focus back on you now, Tim. So the good stuff about working for yourself, is it about the fancy cars? Do you have a massive mansion? Do you have, 2 Great Danes either side of you at all times? What is it to you? What is the good stuff about running the business? Why do you do it? Why do you work for yourself?
It's the intangible stuff, right? So there's 2 answers, right? I work for myself because I've realized I'm kind of unemployable. Like the work I want to do and the work I'm good at isn't actually a full-time job, right? So that's part of it. But the second, the good stuff that comes with it is the intangible stuff. And I think it's based around freedom, right? And for me specifically, it's for freedom. I know this is different for everybody because we're all little individual humans on this little blue ball of ours. But the freedom to choose. So the freedom to choose what projects you work on, where your energy is best spent is a good one. And again, I know a lot of people don't have that, that privilege of they have to work to, accept the money that comes in, which I understand. But the freedom to choose when you get to a certain position, when you're strong on your brand and your proposition, you get the freedom to choose. And that gives you the ability to have a bit more freedom of time as well, and a freedom of kind of decision making, and like freedom to create new things and have ideas, right? And be free, like have time to learn new stuff, have time to think of new ideas. Like I've not had my work is not, out of all of the jobs I've got, podcasting, speaking, university, and the agency Spill Team, are it's still not a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, if I'm honest. Like we do projects, right? We work on good projects that make a difference, and try and make an impact. So it's good to have that freedom to choose.
That is the most popular answer on the Tuesday Talk Show with guests.
Good.
It's freedom. And my add-on to that is it's freedom if you let yourself have that freedom. If you're constantly doing the tasks all day, every day, and not allowing yourself that, trip to the coffee shop or the afternoon off to do whatever you want to do, that's not freedom. That's a job, isn't it? It's a job.
Yeah.
So you've got to let yourself have that freedom to enjoy it. If that freedom is what you want, it's there. It's a choice.
It's a choice. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Choice. You gotta fight. So we mentioned books. Are you a big bookworm, Tim? Are you always got a bookshelf brimming with books? You mentioned one by Rich Roll, Find Ultra. Is there any of the ones that sort of influenced you the most?
I do like a book. Yeah, I do like a book. I like learning, so I watch, YouTube channels and documentaries and podcasts, and like I consume a bunch of stuff. But
just
there's
me all the information. Give me all.
but books are definitely one of my favorite experiences, one of my favorite ways to learn. And the one that kicked it off for me, right? The one that kind of made me have one of those aha moments, right? Like a thing went, a little firework went off in my brain all those years ago, was Purple Cow by Seth Godin.
Yeah.
Which was really, I think, probably one of the first businessy books that I read. And I was just like, oh my God, this guy is inside my brain. This is what he's put down eloquently in 100-odd pages, like what my brain is trying to think and figure out and get out into the world. So it was just a good moment of clarity. But there's been many. I think Seth's recent book, This Is Marketing, is also good, and Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. But Purple Cow kicked it off for me, if I'm honest.
Shoe Dog. I accidentally bought the child's edition of Shoe Dog, but it was equally just as good read. Actually, really nice, easy read. I thought actually I'm going to get the kids' edition most of these business books because it's so much easier to digest.
Yeah, less of the waffle stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the big words. We don't like big words. Tim, what have you become better at saying no to?
What have I become better? Actually, work and projects. I've learned. I still need to improve on that. I still need to get better because I get excited by new stuff and things, and helping
shiny
things.
New things. It's like, ooh.
But I've got better at choosing what work I will be best at, and being able to deliver on and get pride and enlightenment myself as well as for the client. But it's difficult to say no to money still, no matter if you're 25 years on like me or 25 weeks in. like it's difficult if people go, can you do this? And you go, technically I could do it, but it's often not. Is it the right project for the right client are two big questions.
And again, that's the importance of having that network of contacts, because if it's not your bag, but you know deep down that it is someone else that you know is definitely for them, it's definitely their bag, it's good to have that network to say, actually, do you know what? I could do it. It's not really my thing right now, but this person is awesome at it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that it reciprocates, doesn't it? And
it
takes bravery to say no and give up that opportunity, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. We are whizzing through time, which I knew we would do all the time on Tuesday Talk Show. Time just flies by. I don't know where it goes. So I dive right into a couple more questions. So the pandemic has seen people on furlough doing new side hustles, starting new ventures. What would your advice be, Tim, for someone starting out in business, and how would they know that they're ready to take the plunge?
I think it's kind of a mindset answer, mine, which is unusual. But I would give yourself permission to explore, right? And judge those first bits of time as an experiment. Because the good thing about experiments, if you remember doing science back at school, right, they could go right or they couldn't. And that's all right, because it's an experiment, right? Because you've learned something. So I would frame whatever that right period of time, whether it's a week, a month, 3 months, whatever your like relevant to you is, but be free to explore. Try a bunch of stuff. There's no lessons, right? I teach like MBA and masters at students, do a lot of workshops, but there's no experience, no learning, like just doing it, like trying the thing, right? And I wish I would have tried much more, and I've tried a bunch, if I'm honest, and I wish I would have tried much more stuff. But give yourself permission that it's an experiment, right? You've got to find out for yourself. You can ask people,
give it a fair test. I loved fair tests in science, and I apply that to loads of things in business. Simple theory, this marketing thing over here, did it work? Did it not work? Did I say it's not working because I didn't want it to work, or did it genuinely not work? You know, what is the evidence, and is it a fair test? So definitely fantastic advice. If you're watching this live or on catch up, we'd love to hear from you. Send in your comments and questions. I know we're coming to the end of the show, but we'd still love to hear from you. And if it is on replay, we'll definitely get back to you. So send them in, because I know we've got an audience. So don't be shy. Come on. Tim, what is on your bucket list? What is left to be done in the life of Tim Elliott?
At the moment, my mind is 98% focused on running, if I'm honest. I know it's a bit boring, but ultra runs. So I'm supporting a friend of mine who's doing 21 ultra marathons in September, believe it or not, which is ridiculous. But hopefully I will get to I'm going to do a few like half marathons with him to support. But I've well and truly become a runner, and then I do other stuff on the side now in my mind, which is tricky. But you know, but I want to run some amazing coastlines and some big hills, if I'm honest, is where my bucket list mainly fills.
And is that going to be all in the UK?
Maybe there's some epic stuff going on in America, but obviously let's see about travel and such. But we have some beautiful hills, you know, in Derby, like the Peak District in our shire, but the South Downs Way, Brecon Beacons in Wales, like that up in the lakes, like there's stuff on our doorstep. We're a tiny country, right? It's only a few hours drive away. So I want to do some of that. That's what you'll see on my Instagram for the next year or bit, so I imagine.
What's the furthest you've run in one session?
Actually, it was Sunday. I did 32.8 kilometers, which is just over 20 miles. But I stopped because of a tech issue. Like my watch that tracks my runs ran out of battery, and I didn't think there'd be any proof. But I was all right at that stage. So now I feel a bit invincible at the moment. I know I'm not. But
getting that endorphin high. And how are you feeling after that run? Are you feeling sore? Are you good to go?
No, good to go. Went this morning again, did another 11k this morning, but I'm in good nick at the moment.
Check
for an old guy.
Out, Tim.
I know, right?
Wow, amazing. That is awesome. Tim, if people want to get in touch with you and find out more information about anything you've spoken about today on the Tuesday Talk Show, where can people find Tim Elliott?
I'll make it really easy. I am at Tim Elliott UK on all of the social medias, like all of them. So just put at Tim Elliott UK in anything that you prefer to get me in, and I'm there.
Love it. Dead simple. Love it. Thank you so much, Tim, for your time today on the Tuesday Talk Show. It has been fantastic to have a one-to-one conversation with you, finally.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap up the show right here, so please stay tuned for the next episode. That will be episode 4 of the Tuesday Talk Show, Series 5. We're whizzing through, which means we've got tons more interviews on the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. Press the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified about future episodes and shows. And that is all we have time for today. Again, it's absolutely flown by. We're going to go back over to Tim Elliott for his final thoughts. So your final thought, please, Tim.
I want to encourage people to seek out connection, right? It's the thing, connection to people, connection to ideas, connection to community, because that's the thing that have got us through the past 18 months. And it's always true. It's always valuable. So seek out connection wherever you can.
Bravo. That is a beautiful place to end the Tuesday Talk Show right there. Thank you so much, Tim. And that's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time on the Tuesday Talk Show. Bye.